Hello everyone, welcome to Flow Mastery, Crafting an Efficient Desktop Flow. I'm Samir Makwana, a solution architect and a global speaker. Today, we will explore the best practices for optimizing Power Automate desktop workflow. This is the QR code for my LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. So, as I said, the aim of this video is to share best practices for achieving efficiency in Power Automate desktop. The approach we're going to take is I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the Power Automate desktop, and we're going to move to the next stage where we're going to talk about things to avoid and their impact and strategies to consider while building a Power Automate desktop flows. And we'll wrap up this call with the top 10 tips to optimize the performance for those desktop flows. Now, Power Automate Desktop is a tool that allows you to automate repetitive tasks on the desktop, provides a user-friendly interface to create workflow that can interact with various applications, files, and the system on your computer. When to use Power Automate Desktop over Power Automate Cloud? So, if you have any application which doesn't have web interface or doesn't have API, that's one of the best example. You can have the Power Automate Desktop to use as an RPA to automate that, but there are many other scenarios too. Now, common mistakes to avoid or things to look for and related impact. So, automate everything, things to avoid, because if you have a process, there are many tasks in that. Always try to automate the tasks which are high value. Right? Because otherwise you will increase the implementation time and build the complexity, and it's hard to maintain them. Triggers in the flow. So this can easily lead inefficiency, increased costs, and disruptions. The third one big workflow. Never make one process, one workflow. If you have multiple tasks in process, try to divide them in a subflow. Otherwise, it will be difficult to manage and troubleshoot the performance issue, and also it will increase the execution time. Now, never hard-code values over the flow, because it can make your flow inflexible and challenging to update, and also it's prone to increase the risk of errors during those updates. The next one is missing error handling scenario, because if you miss that, you're making your process incomplete during the building the workflow, and it can lead to the data loss and increase manual effort when you're in production. Overlooking flow performance optimization, again, that can impact your productivity and can increase the consumption of the resource and the cost as well. The last one and the most important, which is I always tell my clients, is you should have a very solid test cases to cover all the possible scenarios and use cases. Because without that, it can increase the risk of undetected errors and will impact your production environment when you move this flow to the production. All right, now let's talk about the top 10 tips to optimize performance of desktop workflows. The first one is to make sure you reduce the number of action in your flow by combining related tasks and removing redundant steps. This will help streamline the flow and improve the overall performance. The next one is you make sure leverage built-in functions and actions provided by Power Automate Desktop to perform common tasks efficiently, because these functions are optimized for performance and can handle operation faster than custom implementations. The third one is parallel branches. Use parallel branches to run independent actions concurrently. This can significantly reduce overall execution time of your workflow, especially for the tasks that do not depend on each other. Batch processing, again, an important thing to look for, because this can reduce number of individual actions and can improve the performance. Now, delay actions. Use delay actions strategically to manage the execution timing of your workflow. This is useful for scenarios where you need to wait for an external system to respond or to avoid hitting rate limits. Very important. The sixth one, Optimize how your flow handles the data by using variables and avoid unnecessary data transformation. The seventh, minimize the use of loops in your flow, or I would say avoid unnecessary loops, because specifically is nested loops, as they can significantly impact your performance. Use the filters and condition to process only the necessary items. Utilize scope items or actions. Again, it's an important thing because you group related actions in a scope to recognize and manage your flow better. Scope can help with error handling and make it easier to optimize specific section of your flow. Now, limiting number of API calls to your flow makes by consolidating requests and using efficient query parameters. This reduces the load on external system and improve the flow performance as well. And the last and important, monitor and analyze your performance, how it works from trigger to the end, and improve as you go. So here we are. Thank you so much for joining the session. Automate today and innovate tomorrow. Bye-bye.